just the bus is doing this, and you know, and he's passing, you know, on curves, and you know, and he's just speeding. He's just doing the young guy thing, you know, the testosterone, the, you know.
Frank is going up to tell the bus driver to slow down. He's going way too fast around the corners, and I'm scared. I am scared to death. Do it because, you know, telling the Ecuadorians how to drive, but I am so scared. What did you tell him?
I told him I wasn't feeling well, which is true.
I was really scared because he's speeding and passing a bunch of cars left and right all over the place up there. He slowed down after Frank told him to slow down. He has slowed down. So, thank you. Yeah, I'm really glad to be off that bus.
The thing is that we were on a bus today again, which we do frequently. I wanted to talk about the tragedies that recently have happened with bus crashes in Ecuador. We went through a period where there was almost no bus crashes. Was that just a statistical average? I mean, like, okay, so we just went through this period that seemed to be, for all appearances, a safe period, right? Because there was like no bus crashes. And matter of fact, I've said in times past in other videos how, oh gee, in Peru they have bus crashes all the time, and they do.
I remember that.
Yeah. And so I was, a little bit of a satisfaction of knowing, okay, great. Well, we're in Ecuador, a place where they don't, they really take care of things on this at this level with the buses, and we don't have to worry about bus crashes too much since we're bus barnacles, okay? And so when you hear of these bus crashes one after another, it just puts these statistical averages back to normal. It would seem it's like normal, meaning yeah, you haven't had any bus crashes in 6 years, but now you just had 3, so now you've had an average of 1 every 2 years. If we don't get any more, this year, we don't know.
I think he might have sped up again.
So like, we're getting on a bus, and everybody has an opinion on this, and I don't just want to give you an opinion. I want to tell you something based on what I see, observation, and facts. And the fact is that I did take a driver's education in high school in the States. And that was a very good thing to do, because the main focus of driver's ed, and I still remember it from high school days, is that speed has everything to do with, whether you're going to have a problem on the road or behind the wheel. It has everything to do because you're going slow enough. You've got this big, huge, heavy machine that is going at this really fast speed. And, if you can't stop it fast enough to keep people safe, then you've got a real big problem. And the thing about the driver's ed was that they really hammered it in on us and showed us what speed does. And they showed us the pictures of people's, I don't want to go into detail, but after the crashes.
Yeah, because they want to scare you.
They wanted us to know, look, this is what you're facing. And they really drilled it into us. And I'm glad that I took the driver's ed. some people think, oh, well, this happened because this guy didn't have a license, or this happened because this bus had drugs, or this happened because, but I like to think, you know, there's many different reasons that make particles that make a whole. One of the things I notice, this is the observation part, is the young bus drivers, and I'm not saying the older ones are immune to speeding, but generally speaking, if you've got a really young bus driver, the 90% chance he's going to be speeding. And today it was the case. As soon as we stepped onto the first step of the bus and I looked up and said, "Buenos dias," and it was a really young driver, and I thought, oh, great. And sure enough, as soon as we sat down, there he is. Just the bus is doing this, and you know, and he's passing, you know, on curbs, and you know, and
he was speeding.
He's just doing the young guy thing, you know, the testosterone, the, you know, it does, you know, and a young person doesn't have the depth of experience, and you know, he hasn't been around long enough. The way I see it, if all they did was put people, you know, through classes.
People can hear you over there.
Where they taught them the consequences of speed, and especially on a really heavy machine like a bus. Just showing them, not just talking about it. Because in our class, they showed us people's faces that have flown through windshields and stuff. And nothing makes an impression more on a young person than seeing that, but showing them what happens to people. And I think if they just did that, that would go a long way. You know, it's not, people want to focus on all these other things, which I'm not saying they're not important, but generally speaking, you know, the biggest thing that was the focus when I was going to school was the speed issue. All the other things are kind of secondary to that. Well,
somebody did say one of the buses that crashed in August, because there was 3, there was drinking. He was drinking. So that's another biggie.
That's a no-brainer. You don't drink and drive. You know, if you're operating machinery, you don't become under the influence of, you know, something that is intoxicating. Well, and actually that was part of the driver's ed also.
Yeah, it was.
And they taught you how people, different kinds of people, believe they weren't under the influence because they were on prescription medication or this or that, whatever. But that's not, I mean, here it's usually just alcohol. Okay.
No la entiendo todo, entonces acabamos ahora porque
I told Frank to go tell the bus driver to slow down because I was getting nervous. He was going so fast.
Yes, I had to go tell him, and he slowed down for about 5 or 10 minutes, and that's it. And then he picked it back up again. So I don't know. I don't know if they're on some sort of time quota where they have to be here at a certain time. I don't know. That's clearly going to be a problem if they are. You know, because you're endangering lives. Okay, well, guys, just a perspective here. Thanks for listening, and have a wonderful day here in Cuenca, Ecuador. The weather is amazing. See you guys later.